But it is very important. I must Andres. I must find that girl. Monsieur, c'est impossible. Préparez comme ça. Vous changez pas. Parlez-vous in English? Monsieur, what I said is that you look like a piece of adolescent American dog shit.
Reroll. Sequel. Reboot. Which one will it be? It's the Ruined Childhoods podcast.
Greetings, Starfighters. This is Ruined Childhoods. I'm John, here with my brother Dan to gab about the 1991 action comedy, If Looks Could Kill. Dan, before we find out if you are a freako for Greco, how the hell are you?
I'm doing well, John. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. We both just lit candles in our remote recording settings. What's your aroma? What's your aroma of choice?
We're setting the mood here. So this was, I believe, a holiday gift, and it is appropriate to my location, which is here in Seattle.
Oh,
it is Nirvana. This is not to give you the visual.
Does it smell like flannel and sweat?
It is not. No, it is not a Nirvana the band themed candle, which is like also not hard to find here in Seattle. But it is a scent combination. This is my daughter Chloe, age 9, picked this out.
Way to dox your daughter,
and that is all you will know. And you don't even know if I'm telling the truth because I'm a wonderful liar. So the scent I am certainly not lying about is patchouli, tonka,
wow,
sweet jasmine, and tropical nectar. So
that is so Seattle.
There's the element of patchouli, which I know a lot of people find, and honestly, it doesn't really smell like patchouli, but it
doesn't.
It as I burn my nose to prove it. It really doesn't have a strong patchouli smell, but to be honest with you, there's a certain nostalgia that I associate. I was never one to wear patchouli, but there was always at least one person, and I'm talking about like college days in the mid to late 90s.
You're spelling days D-A-Z-E, right?
Of course, that is so. Yeah, I was like, if you've got the subtitles up, this is audio. Sorry. But I was thinking, if we had captioning up right now, it should definitely be spelled D-A-Z-E.
Right. Dan, I want to know, did you ever were you ever an incense burner?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, I definitely, yeah, I want to say late, my mid to late 20s.
Okay.
When I was, living on my own and,
trying to mask odors.
And, I was, working in the arts at the time.
Yeah.
And,
So
it was as I refer to it now one of my past lives. So
right.
Yeah, no, that's what it was, and it was a wonderful time.
Gotcha.
And we're gonna have a wonderful time today talking about If Looks Could Kill.
We sure are, but I do want to share the scent that I'm experiencing right now, which is not indicative of the place where I live, Portland, Oregon.
I was wondering. Okay.
It is. This would make more sense if I were in New Mexico, perhaps, or Arizona, possibly southern Texas. But cactus flower and aloe.
Oh,
I'm really digging the cactus flower aroma. It's kind of my 2023 aroma of choice.
Cactus flower. No, that is nice.
It's really delightful.
I really like that.
Yeah. But we are not here to talk about what we are smelling. We are here to talk about what we're watching. Dan, have you been watching anything good lately?
Have I been watching anything good lately?
And that is to say, aside from what we are doing for our next episode, because our next episode requires a lot of homework.
Multiple viewings. We've been working on this for a few weeks now, and I began the last film that I need to watch. In that,
I still have one more
that I need to rewatch. I'm going to throw this out there. I am not going to be able to rewatch all of the films in this franchise. That's right, I said it. But I have now seen them all, and I will have rewatched the ones that I have not seen in like the past decade.
Got it.
So anyway, that's all I have to say about that. What have I been watching? I have to look at Letterboxd, which is where I don't usually log the ones that we're watching. If I haven't already done them,
to be discreet.
Yeah, because you might get notified, and then you'll see my rating, and we don't talk about these things before right now. So let's see, what have I been looking at recently? Well, I watched The Princess Bride, which is definitely not the first time. We did an episode on it way back when, but it was my daughter's first time. It was Chloe's first time, and
the 9-year-old.
Yeah. Damn it.
You said it before.
You're gonna be like, oh, the one who goes to this school.
Yeah. Anyway, what did she think about it? What characters did she like?
She liked it. Well, first of all, I want to point out that she is over the summer doing a 2-week musical theater camp where they're doing they kind of do their own adaptations of things.
Okay.
And it's they're cool legally. When I used to do performing arts camp, we used to do the same thing. Like my buddy Dave DeVito, shout out Dave. We did a Star Trek play with it. It wasn't a musical, but we did a Star Trek play with like a bunch of 10 and 11-year-olds. God, who are now like in their 30s, but it's cool. But she's doing that, and because I've been trying to get her to watch The Princess Bride for a while now, and it's funny because she's she's kind of hard to convince. You want to watch a movie with her, it's got to be like whatever she's into right now. It's like, you know what? No, I'm like, no, one of these, I'm just going to start making popcorn, sitting you down and saying, this is what we're watching.
Yeah.
Get comfortable. So I walked out of the room after I said that, and she came back in and she's like, so what would you sit me down and force me to watch? And I was like, Princess Bride. And she's like, okay. So anyway, popped in the Blu-ray, had a wonderful viewing. She really enjoyed it. I don't know that she really, I don't know that there was a singular character that she really liked, but she had she kept guessing. She kept trying to guess who the six-fingered man was. And she thought that the Dread Pirate Roberts was the six-fingered man, but she also figured out who he was before he was unmasked. Okay. So she was, he's that. Who I really hope, of course, any part she gets, I just love that she's doing theater. I really hope she gets to play, who is it?
Miracle Max?
Or his wife.
Yeah, okay. Carol Kane. Yeah.
Carol Kane. Sorry if I just blew out any eardrums there. But yes, I could really see her nailing that.
I don't know if this would be part of a play of this, but I could totally also see her as the Fred Savage role.
Oh, definitely. Is this a kissing book?
The salty tween.
Well, that was no, John, I'm glad you said that, because that was one of the reasons I was like, the hook of this movie is going to get her into it, because it's about this kid who just wants to fucking sit there and play video games.
Yeah.
I didn't, and
it's
no,
like how great Peter Falk is here again.
Yeah. Oh
Although
God,
if that
what
were
was-
either of us, it'd be like, sweet, Peter Falk. I'm sick, and Peter Falk just came into my room to read me a book. Hell yeah!
I'm gonna say this, and I'm just gonna assume that Dad's not listening to this episode.
Okay.
But Chloe was like, I wish I had a grandpa like that.
Well, it's a very specific kind of grandpa. I will give her that.
But it's meant. You're meant to feel that way.
Yeah.
Everyone is meant. You're meant to feel that way when how are the sick? And so for me watching it, I always kind of had mixed feelings about it, and I'm still not crazy about the score in places.
Right.
But
yeah.
Otherwise,
it's too synthy. It's
the
like
synthy parts
artificial.
of the score.
Yeah.
The other parts of the score are beautiful. But I enjoyed it so much more, I think, watching it with her, especially
Through
because
the eyes of a child.
through the eyes of a child. Wow, call back to the South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut soundtrack.
Oh, is that an actual song on there?
It's like the end credit song from the movie, and I think it's Trey Parker and Matt Stone's band.
It usually is. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, it was a really enjoyable
So you watched Princess
rewatch.
Bride. Great.
And I thought to myself, I was like, Chloe is totally going to identify with this kid.
Yeah.
And Chloe is totally in that position where it's like, you know what, kid, shut the fuck up. I'm reading you a book.
Well, I've seen that kid roll her eyes before. And let me tell you, her eye roll and Fred Savage's eye roll, they're cut from the same cloth in that way.
Well, that eye roll has been handed down from generation to generation to generation.
Absolutely.
So, yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, John, so I've watched that, and I won't go on too long about the other movie that I rewatched for the first time in a while and that I appreciated more on this rewatch, but Contact.
Contact.
I think the last time I saw it was probably like VHS. I feel like that was one of those that I might have like hooked up the VCRs and dubbed. But in the days when I switched from putting 3 on a tape to 1 for the sake of quality, I was kind of like, Contact, kind of, but on this viewing, I was really into it. I felt more connected to the story. And I felt that I was like, man, Robert Zemeckis, who I have kind of gotten cold on in recent years, and who I've kind of felt like, I always feel like Robert Zemeckis is like, look at what I'm doing. Look at motion capture Beowulf, Tom Hanks on a volleyball. Like he's gimmicky, but I felt like Contact was where there was like a real like human story, and Matthew McConaughey early in the stardom part of his career, and Jodie Foster, the dialogue between them, the chemistry, not just romantically, even though that's part of it, but just their on-screen chemistry. James Woods plays a prick, so it's fine. You can watch it and you'd be like, James Woods such a fucking prick.
Did he actually play a character, or did he just kind of like stumble onto set and they were just like, oh, great, James Woods is in the shot?
It was kind of like all right, James,
may as well weave this into an actual character.
James, let's lose the right-wingy stuff and the pedophilia and try it again.
Can I tell you? Okay, so when I was in my mid-20s and I had first moved to Los Angeles and I was doing a lot of like extra work on TV shows and movies, I did an episode of the James Woods courtroom like lawyer show Shark, and which nobody should remember that. It was James Woods doing a lawyer show, and I only remember James Woods when we were like breaking for lunch or something, and he was sitting off at another table, and like I was with some of the other extras, and the chatter amongst our table about James Woods was just about him being a creep. And I don't know why like this stands out to me, but it seemed scandalous to some at the time, or not so much scandalous as much as shocking, but they were just like, Oh yeah, and he shaves his ass. That was the thing that came up about James Woods. I can't believe that I've never told you about this before.
Wow.
That's what people were talking about.
Starfighters, I wish you could see my face right now. It's not a shocked face, but it's more of a, that's an interesting thing to focus on. Anyway, Contact, Angela Bassett. I don't know. I cannot.
There's no coming back. There's no coming back from that.
No. Geez. Sorry, I can never watch the movie the hard way again. No. I which is something I really despise James Woods for, is because I really love that movie, but I don't want a movie where I like James Woods in it.
And that's the Michael J. Fox buddy cop movie.
Yeah, where Michael J. Fox is an actor who's trying to get a serious role. Like Penny Marshall is his agent. That's such a fun movie. But I
feel like the Michael J. Fox of it all cancels out the James Woods of it all.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've wondered. I've been reluctant to watch it when I've seen it streaming, but I might keep that in mind and just focus on the Fox.
Yeah.
And yeah.
It's kind of incredible that Michael J. Fox is an actor who, and this could be in part to, the fact that he's been struggling through, well, I guess thriving through Parkinson's, as we've all been seeing.
As much as one can.
As much as one can, and, really embracing, like, this is who I am, I still haven't watched is it an Apple TV documentary? Something like that, yeah.
Is that what it's on?
Yeah, I need to watch
I know
that.
what you're talking about.
But, has just, came out as a young actor, as just like a really solid, likable actor, and then has kind of just gone on to really impress us through both professionally and personally. Who has a bad thing to say about Michael J. Fox? And even
if anyone does, first of all, don't say it to us.
Yeah.
And if you know anyone who does, you can email us. Don't dox them, but you can email us their personal information at ruinedchildhoodspod@gmail.com, and we will come for them, because no one should have if you have a bad thing to say about Michael J. Fox, you deserve what's coming to you.
And I know it was a long time ago already, but I loved his character on The Good Wife, and I thought that some of his
wonderful,
his more recent acting has been a lot of fun.
And I love
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
And oh my God, that is my favorite episode of Curb, because it also has Larry drawing Hitler mustaches on things.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It has Anna Gasteyer's son, who Larry is he's
the gay,
clearly gay.
Yeah.
And everyone gets pissed when Larry gets him a sewing machine, except for the kid who and that kid deserved an Emmy for that performance, as did Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
But I love on how the Good Wife, he plays like such a likable character, but who's a slimy kind of a slimy lawyer character.
Yeah.
And I just love that it's like I can enjoy Michael J. Fox.
Maybe he learned how to do that from watching James Woods.
Oh, no, he's not. His character is not anywhere close to that.
Well, Dan, before we launch into talking about an actor who did start off really, really strong and maybe didn't continue on with such a heralded career such as Michael J. Fox, did you have anything that you wanted to add about our last episode, the last movie that we covered?
Oh, yes. Just that thinking about filmmakers who could make,
and we did After Hours on our last episode.
After Hours, correct.
Directed by Martin Scorsese.
So and because you're, anyone making a sequel to After Hours, a sequel or like a remake, is kind of, they're picking up the mantle from Scorsese, assuming that Scorsese is not making it. And I love that he's, still making films, and can't wait to watch the Killers of the Flower Moon trailer that dropped today. Yeah, I have not watched it yet.
I'm going to try to release this episode today so that it stays relevant.
Oh my God. All right. So I could see the Safdie brothers and maybe it's a little too close to kind of what they've already done. And I haven't seen, was it Good Time?
Yeah.
Or Good with Robert Pattinson? The only film of theirs that I've seen, I think, is Uncut Gems. And thinking of kind of the pace of Uncut Gems, the fact that there is some humor in there, the way that there is in After Hours, I mean, it's much, darker and more intense. I mean, yeah.
But also, I know that the Safdies are fully capable of including humor into their works, and I know that they personally are, comedy fans.
Well, and I also think that they would really nail the vibe while not making it like we're doing Scorsese, but kind of in the way that Scorsese when he did Color of Money. And that's kind of how I see it being, a
Still
parallel.
So weird to me that he did Color of Money. I learned that when we recorded our last episode, and I haven't seen it, but I certainly know of it.
A Buena Vista Picture. Disney presents Martin Scorsese's the first of, I think, at least two, because they also did Kundun, I believe, was Touchstone. Possibly also Bringing Out the Dead. Anyway, but I think the Safdies are. And did Scorsese executive produce Uncut Gems?
Did
Am I making that up? I don't know. I just occurred to me as that sounded familiar. But anyway, that's kind of who I could see really making a great either sequel to After Hours and, putting Griffin Dunn, taking Griffin Dunn and giving him that starring role.
He was an executive producer on Uncut Gems.
Okay. All right. So I still have no objection to the Safdies doing, After Hours to whatever it is, whatever happens.
Beyond After Hours.
The older Paul Hackett.
Yeah.
So that's who I think that's who I would vote. It would also be interesting to see someone like Edgar Wright do it, just because of his Last Night in Soho, which is probably a very intentional nod to the original title of After Hours being One Night in Soho.
Yeah.
Yeah. Different Sohos, but anyway.
Well, hey, why not have an After Hours that takes place in the other Soho?
That would be where I'm going to be in a month.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to London.
I didn't know that.
I can't wait.
We'll talk about that off mic.
All right. Yeah. Breaking news. Shock. So anyway, John, have you been watching anything lately?
I'll make it snappy because we're already 22 minutes into this, and we've only teased the Greco.
My bad.
I've been watching not a lot of movies. I've been watching movies for this podcast, but as far as other entertainment, it's been a lot of I've been catching up on Jeopardies because I've been trying to stay current. So I'm almost caught up with my Jeopardies, and I'm watching a lot of Murder, She Wrote, and I am loving every second of it. I'm starting from the beginning, and it is.
Oh, the guest stars.
The guest stars are amazing.
Wait, by the way, is Murder, She Wrote maybe a top 5 opening theme sequences of all time?
It's pretty amazing.
Top 10.
It's pretty amazing. Of course you have her typing, and then you have her just doing things.
I think of her riding a bike with a basket on the front.
She's riding a bike. She's just doing stuff.
Yeah.
It's just
Jessica Fletcher does not stay idle.
No, she's a very busy lady. So she's just kind of doing her thing. And
iconic character. Yeah. Angela Lansbury, pour one out. I mean,
absolutely.
Somewhat recently.
Yeah. And the first season, they come out swinging. with a lot of really great plot lines. Like you said, a lot of great guest stars. We had John Astin, Martin Landau, Jeff Conaway. That's just in the first few episodes.
Wow.
I don't
Does
know.
she get a hickey from Kanicki?
Oh,
It's like a Hallmark card.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
What I didn't expect from Murder, She Wrote, which, by the way, I know that we had done an episode
The
a while.
nudity? Oh, sorry.
Dan,
I was just guessing what you didn't expect.
calm down. I know we had done an episode a while back where I had quizzed you on movie titles that either had a apostrophe or a comma, like grammatical error, and Murder, She Wrote is a show that does have a comma in the title. Murder, She Wrote. So
I thought so.
yeah, and but what I was going to say is that romantic storylines and hints at potential romance for JB Fletcher, and we launch into the series, I guess probably not too long after her husband had passed away, and so we only just kind of know that was a thing. We don't see him, we don't meet him unless there's potentially a flashback,
Haunting. Oh,
or a haunting,
or flashback. Flashback probably makes more sense, but a haunting too, especially in a show like Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah, and so I think that it's a really thrilling show to watch. Each one is like a mini movie. The one of them that I watched that's maybe like the fourth episode of the series actually reminds me a lot of Knives Out. It has to do with a wealthy person and the potential heirs to the fortune and an unlikely recipient of the funds, which in this case is a dog. A dog with a really huge dick. I'm just going to go ahead and say it.
Is that like a plot point?
It was distracting.
Or is it an observation.
Look.
Are you just like, I'm surprised they used that dog?
I'm sure. Look, okay, we were talking about, captions before and what things would say if there were captions back when you were talking about your college days. And if Murder, She Wrote had audio description, where for people who are blind or low vision, they describe everything that's on the screen, they would say, I forget what kind of dog it is, but a dog with long ears and a huge hog, pops up on its hind legs. Like, that's what it would say. That's what it would say.
Oh,
yeah. Well, Dan, should we talk about If Looks Could Kill? You're stuck on this. You can't get off of this.
I'm just imagining like someone being like, wait a second, what was a hog doing at the will reading? And then someone explaining that to him, like, no, not the farm animal, the euphemism for penis.
Yeah.
Yes. So anyway, If Looks Could Kill.
Yeah, let's go. Okay, 1991. If Looks Could Kill comes out. Everybody goes nuts for it. Not really.
Alternate universe.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Which time in the multiverse?
Yeah.
The alternate timeline where If Looks Could Kill wins Best Picture.
Yeah. So this is a time when Richard Grieco is hot off of the first season of Booker, his spinoff. The spinoff of his 21 Jump Street character, which I recently learned was only supposed to be a like one episode character, and the way that the network had kind of positioned things after that was kind of like in the promos was like, are you Depp or are you Grieco? Like, pick your side. It was like team Depp, team Grieco. That kind of thing.
Didn't he take over? Like, didn't Johnny Depp like leave the show?
I think he kind of like petered off, but I think that Grieco was still on for a while.
Grieco was the Billy Connolly to Depp's Howard Hessman, to use a head of the class analogy.
Yeah, nobody's processing that. You may as well use Depp Grieco.
Our listeners will get that.
Okay, so I think that it was kind of like oh crap, Johnny Depp is going to become a huge celebrity and is going to leave this show. We need to be prepared with a carbon copy. So let's get this Richard Grieco kid in here. and test him out. So he went on to do Booker, and then made his feature film debut in If Looks Could Kill in 1991, and directed by William Deere, co-written by Darren Star, the creator of Sex and the City, and Fred Decker, who from The Monster Squad, Night of the Creeps, and a big kind of horror guy. He did like Tales from the Crypt and stuff like that. I guess like horror comedy is kind of his
right.
niche.
He's kind of like like Joe Dante, Fred Decker. Who else? There's like Shane Black.
Well, he worked with Shane Black very closely on like Monster Squad and the 2018 Predator movie. Did Shane Black was he involved with RoboCop 3, or was that?
That was just, I think, just Fred Decker?
That was Fred Decker and Frank Miller. Yeah.
Right.
So,
right. Okay. Never saw RoboCop 3, but that's another story for another time.
Have we done RoboCop on this episode?
We have not done RoboCop.
We are 192 episodes in. We haven't done RoboCop.
No, because otherwise I would have seen RoboCop 3 by now. Fair enough. Because it's the only one in that franchise I haven't seen.
I think I've only seen one. The first one.
Like the original. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that you, Dan, know that I've seen RoboCop 1. I think we've most certainly watched it together.
Oh, I'd buy that for $1. All right. All right. We're not
so If
on
Looks Could Kill.
Engine.
If Looks Could Kill is a movie that I know I saw ad nauseum on HBO.
I definitely taped it off HBO.
You taped it off HBO. Perhaps that was a go-to. Oh, what should we put on? Here's this tape that Dan made where it definitely was like 3 on a tape, low quality.
No, that one did not, especially at that time, did not command a single tape treatment.
And
I think The Naked Gun was the only one that merited that status.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
So I'm going to, I for some reason feel like The Monster Squad was one that was perhaps got its own tape situation. I'm just picturing the yellow label on the side of a black VHS tape that just says The Monster Squad. Anyway, I'm gonna read for you a synopsis that I wrote of If Looks Could Kill before I rewatched it for this podcast. So, so going back to my memory from cannot be any earlier than 1995, later than 1995. Probably the last time I saw If Looks Could Kill. So, Dan, are you ready?
Yes.
It turns out that for too cool for school teen Michael Corbin, his high school finds that it's too cool for Michael Corbin when they deny him a diploma without retaking French. Now off to complete his education, Michael joins the school's summer French class to visit Paris for some real-life French experience. But what Michael Corbin doesn't know is that there is a super spy who goes by the name Michael Corbin also on his flight. Teen Michael Corbin is assumed to be the elusive British intelligence hero in deep cover as a teenage shithead. Meanwhile, the criminal organization that super spy Michael Corbin is after is onto the alias and targets the French class as they travel via bus through the French countryside. As he gets thrown into a number of impossible situations, our teen hero finds himself responsible for saving his French class and taking on supervillain Augustus Starenko, Facha a Facha. And I don't know if my French pronunciation is at all accurate because I've never attempted to speak French, Dan. So the description, the synopsis that I just read to you from memory, it's pretty accurate, right?
Yeah. Yes.
The difference is that the other Michael Corbin, the actual spy Michael Corbin, actually gets killed before Michael Corbin actually goes to France. So it is just believed that this one person is super spy Michael Corbin, who is a CIA deep cover operative, who they believe is so deep undercover that he's even unwilling to admit to British intelligence that he is the spy Michael Corbin, because he keeps on insisting, I'm a French class reject. I am a dunce. You don't want me. And that is until he sees the card that they are giving him and he goes, oh yeah, forget it. I can do this. I'm a super spy.
That's pretty much what does it. Yeah. Yeah, it's the car. And John, I couldn't help when you're doing the synopsis and you said what Michael Corbin doesn't know, I was like, please say might kill him. Like with an emphasis on the might. What Michael Corbin doesn't know might kill him. And I'm like, why was that not on the poster?
Yeah, Michael
fucking turned
Corbin
that
doesn't
guy.
know a lot of things, including French, as is evidenced in this thing. And something that I feel like probably gets talked about a lot with this movie, if people are talking about it, is like, okay, there's a summer French club trip to France. That seems odd to me.
Okay, so speaking from experience as a French student who went on 2 trips to France, they weren't during summer break. One was during spring break, and then
Yeah.
one was during the midwinter break in February.
Also, a post graduation summer trip.
Right. Yes. Yes. I will say that there are programs, like, not where you have a whole class, but like there are programs. I know there's a program at CIEE. I forget what it stands for, but like they do have summer programs for students to study abroad. So I would say that's probably the closest thing that I can think of. So I think the post graduation thing is definitely weird. Like, this is definitely to, we're trying to make this work. Where, it's that taking that puzzle piece that well, this kind of fits.
I think that what I would have done differently. Sorry to Darren Star and Fred Decker for giving you notes this late in the game, but perhaps it would have made more sense if, instead of going off the heels of a graduation ceremony, of which there are, it's a class of 30 or 40 students, and all of them are in the French club. Instead of
Small
doing
town.
it off of
Detroit.
graduation, perhaps do it in the spring, like on the heels of spring break, where he gets called into the principal's office and Miss Grober is there. And it's just like, you are failing French. And if you don't completely nail it, you are not going to graduate. And maybe his parents are there, and that's where he gets the speech from his dad about not having any follow through. I don't know. It just seemed to me like the easiest entry point was to have a graduation ceremony. I think that, I mean, who doesn't love a good graduation, like a commencement speech from a valedictorian? Perhaps it was kind of like an answer to like Say Anything, where, there's that classic, speech from Ione Skye.
Yeah. Well, this one, correct me if I'm wrong, but does the speaker quote like the Whitney Houston, like, I believe the children are our future, or am I thinking another graduation high school comedy?
Possibly. I believe that this one referenced We Are the World.
Oh, okay.
And that's when you see Richard Grieco and the other kind of like burnout guy kind of like doing a little dance in their seats. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like trying to kind of, I don't know if they're forcing him into that, like, stoner teen thing, which Grieco doesn't really.
Grieco is definitely not a stoner.
No. His buddy, he's got that buddy who is. So maybe it's like, it's kind of like, all right, well, I hang out with this guy, and that's about as close as I get to it.
Yeah, there's 30 kids in my class, and this is the only one I can maybe kind of relate to because we skip the same classes.
Right, exactly. He's the only other one who skipped class.
But he is on the summer French trip as a regular student. Not a special exception to potentially
kind of commit sexual assault on the bus.
Yeah.
Because of course you watch a high school movie from 1991, you're definitely kind of keeping an eye out for the things that don't age as well. And I mean, I have to say that was there were maybe a couple of other things that I'm like, yeah, that wouldn't fly today. But
Yeah.
that was definitely like, I'm just thinking about like, if that happened, if someone saw that happen, if like, I was like, there would be so many reports filed, and
Yeah, I'd say that
maybe not in 1991, but
the activity on the bus in the French countryside, from this particular character is akin to the exploits that got Al Franken off the Senate.
I would say these were step worse.
I don't remember
Yes.
the exact specifics, but the parts that I remember about the bus and the interaction between that character and
Like
the girl, the
pretty
valedictorian, yeah.
Yeah, oh right, she's a valedictorian.
Is him shaving and then using a soda cup to kind of like wash off the blade and then drinking the soda.
Wait, you don't remember the part where she's asleep and he comes over and like licks her neck?
Oh yeah, the licking the neck. I forgot about that. Forgot about that one. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's.
No. Oh yeah, that's why.
So
that's what I
okay.
mean.
Well, while we're on the subject of the French class, I think that we need to give a big time shout out to Robin Bartlett, who plays Miss Grober, the French teacher, who is iconic in this role. And I know that a lot of people would recognize her because she's just been in everything. I mean, just before If Looks Could Kill, you would have seen her in Heaven's Gate, Sophie's Choice, Baby Boom, Moonstruck, Lean on Me. Those are literally her first 5 movies that she's ever been in. And then we come on to Crimes and Misdemeanors, Postcards from the Edge, Alice, then If Looks Could Kill. After that, Regarding Henry, Dangerous Minds, City of Angels, Shutter Island, Inside Llewyn Davis, The Fabelmans.
Like a character actress who you have seen a million times.
Absolutely.
And yeah, probably don't realize because I imagine she's like, a chameleon.
Absolutely. I mean, she does have these kind of like iconic eyebrows that can give her away, but otherwise she completely blends into the character. And Miss Grober is such a fun use of her talents.
Well, and Miss Grober, for me personally, is one of the reasons why I think just like I will always enjoy this movie because, as I said, I took French and I started in 8th grade and took French all the way through senior year of high school and had the same teacher.
Yeah.
8th grade through, and I did not go to a high school of 40, with a graduating class of 40. So we, and Miss Grober to me was, if my teacher, Madame Rivkin, Susan Rivkin, shout out. She's a superstar. And, but it's like, if someone wrote a screenplay and we're like, I'm going to base this character on my high school French teacher, but like, I need to make her a little more this, that. Like, I need to make a comedy character out of this real person. I watched the movie and I was like, my God, that's Madame. Like, that's her. And this was only in my second year of taking French. I think I was I must have been like, by the time I saw this movie, because I didn't see it in the theater, I would have been a freshman in high school. So, but like, I just was like, I could totally see her, especially, those moments when I love it when the bus drivers I love this running gag that like,
yeah.
There's always like, whether it's a CIA operative,
right. So
one of
because British intelligence and the CIA are keeping track of this French class, as well as the henchmen of Augustus Steranko, you get this back and forth going on this bus because Augustus Steranko's people believe that the French teacher is an alias for another like super spy, essentially,
because they hear all these messages. They hear her being
the
referenced.
French teacher.
It's like, my French teacher's gonna kill me.
Yeah,
oh, the French teacher's after him.
Yeah.
But so Madame, every time the new bus driver comes on, he's like, I am your new bus driver, Jean-Pierre. Class, bonjour, Jean-Pierre. That's a Ms. Rivkin move right there. But then also so would be when she gets handed the like machine gun and Michael Corbin's like, you are the French teacher, and then she like, leans into that.
The bar's closed. She's
so fabulous. Yes.
So Dan, as somebody who was in French club and took French and all that kind of stuff, somebody who saw this movie and, this was a mainstay in our household growing up. When the opportunity came for you to actually go to France with your French club, I mean, was this movie just present in your mind the entire time? Were you half expecting for shit to really go down?
Yes, to be honest, yes. I definitely, our tour guide, I don't remember her name. I remember the organization that we went with was called CHA. So I remember that we called the tour guide Cha-Cha.
Okay.
And she was one of those, she was kind of like an Angelica Houston character. If Angelica Houston played a like, kind of snobby French tour guide who's like reduced to giving high school students tours in a Wes Anderson film, of course, probably would have been Cha-Cha. Like I don't remember her not wearing sunglasses. And I remember she just had kind of like there was like the long dark hair that like went down to the shoulders. Like the wig Miranda Richardson wears in the Crying Game.
Wow.
Or I don't know if it's a wig. But anyway, someone knows what I'm talking about.
So that's Cha-Cha. Okay. So for
anyway,
you, was that just
was
like,
always...
was it just in the back of your mind, just like, she's got to be with intelligence and,
I thought perhaps she was a vampire.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, a different angle. That's an entirely different movie.
Yeah. I mean, in France, especially the time we went, it was pretty like, dark and gloomy enough that like she, theoretically, depending on the rules you're following, could have been outdoors. She was definitely like covered.
You know who she sounds like to me? And I kind of I'm just going to look it up really quickly so I get the character name right. But she reminds me of Kristen Wiig's character in Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar, Sharon Gordon Fisherman, the bad guy, Sharon Gordon Fisherman. She's her skin is like pure white. And she has this like black hair that's like maybe it's very straight, maybe like chin length. And Dan, if you look up Sharon Gordon Fisherman, or actually I can pull it up and show you a picture. Have you seen Barb and Star?
Oh, several times, but I don't remember what Sharon Gordon Fisherman.
Really, the bad guy.
Yes.
Yeah. So here I'm showing you a picture, right?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Okay. Yes. Not. I mean, imagine darker clothes. Imagine much darker clothes. Not far off. Yes. Oh, right. And that's the one who they want to be in an official relationship.
Yes.
Which I loved that.
Jamie Dornan.
Yeah. No, I will straight up admit the last time I watched that movie, I did not put myself in a position to remember details. But I can watch that movie. It is one of my favorite movies of the last
movie.
One of my favorite comedies.
About halfway through that movie, I said out loud, I wish that I could watch this movie from the beginning, having never seen it. And I wasn't even finished with the movie. And I knew that I was going to buy that movie on Blu-ray as soon as it was available, which I did. Still waiting on that Criterion edition, but maybe I might have to wait a little longer.
No, that's what I'm holding off for.
It is. It's a perfect movie to put you in a good mood.
It so is. I love it. Love. I'm just gonna say the Reba McEntire.
Oh my God, Trish.
Oh my God. So it is, everything about that movie is amazing, and
I
love
feel
it.
like the character of Sharon Gordon Fisherman is akin to an Ilsa Grunt, Linda Hunt's character.
Yeah.
And
So
If Looks
anyway,
Could Kill.
I'm glad you brought it around there.
Like a combination of Augustus Steranko and Ilsa Grunt, because it's like
Augustus!
a super villain. First of all, with an amazing. Okay, Augustus Steranko is a fantastic villain name, played by Roger Rees,
Bravo.
the sheriff of Rottingham in Men in Tights, and just absolutely brilliant. People would also be likely to know him as one of Kirstie Alley's romantic interests,
Robin Colcourt. Major figure in the last several seasons. I forget how many seasons of it, but it's like he's a pretty like regular character for a few seasons.
Yeah, so mad respect to Roger Rees. And is Roger Rees still with us?
No. Roger Rees passed, I believe, a couple of years ago. Yeah.
And Linda Hunt, who a lot of people would most likely remember from Kindergarten Cop as the school's principal, who's just a force.
How did it feel to hit that son of a bitch?
Augustus!
I love the way you know who she reminds me of in this, to reference another film that we've covered in Masters of the Universe, Karg. Skeletor's henchman. Karg, he only meant to please you. Like, I believe I think I have looked it up, and I don't think Linda Hunt like did the voice, but Linda Hunt, the way she says Augustus, but also like, and that fucking whip necklace that she wears is just fantastic.
So I just to do a little bit of a Wikipedia dip into Linda Hunt. So still with us.
Yes,
which is fantastic.
On TV, what show was she on? Like a CSI or something like that, or
NCIS Los Angeles.
Okay, yeah, I knew it was one of those.
And from not too far, she's like, this is surprising. She's 78. I feel like she, in my mind, should be much older. I kind of felt like in Kindergarten Cop she was probably 60.
Yeah, she definitely played older.
So no, she was born in 1945 in Morristown, New Jersey, not too far from where we grew up.
Shout out Motown.
Yeah,
as I said it, no. Motown's
no.
taken. Morristown.
Morristown? Morristown. Yeah, just Morristown.
Morristown. It fits.
Yeah, got her start as Mrs. Oxhart in the 1980 film Popeye. Yeah, she won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress for portraying Billy Kwan in The Year of Living Dangerously.
The Year of Living Dangerously, yes. Okay, yeah, I couldn't remember what movie it was.
And was the first person to win an Oscar for portraying a character of the opposite sex.
Right. Not sure if that character. Yeah, I don't think I've seen that movie actually.
Maybe we should cover it.
Perhaps we should.
Or just watch it on our own and not.
Either or.
And not consider it homework.
Either or.
Yeah, so she's been married to a woman, Karen Klein, since 2008. She is an ambassador for the Friends of Animal Society. Sounds like a real great lady.
Yeah.
You know,
you won't hear me say a bad thing about Linda Hunt.
No Ilsa Grunt IRL, that's for sure.
No.
So Augustus Steranko and Ilsa Grunt. So their whole situation is that Augustus Steranko, who Michael Corbin is sent to actually kind of protect and keep an eye on.
Right.
Intelligence doesn't know that Augustus Steranko is actually a bad guy because they are investigating the disappearances of many diplomats, people like treasury people from different countries in Europe, who have come to Steranko because Steranko is trying to get them to kind of hand over their nation's gold.
Well, and what's his like position? Like, doesn't he have some Like, isn't he
I
like the
can't
chairman
remember.
of the European
Oh
Bank
yeah,
or something
something
like that?
like that. But what he is actually trying to do is to get all of Europe's gold, and he's melting it down to create his own currency to kind of take over Europe, but with a financial angle. And Ilsa Grunt is his, right hand and also his heavy, which is very silly considering she is sub 5 feet. But she is a fierce woman who has a necklace that, when pulled off, becomes a long gold whip, and she is just a real expert with that whip. And
Yeah.
it is such a great villainous weapon.
I mean, it's great. Of course, I think a callback to, what's the name of the character in From Russia with Love? The who
I'm less.
attacks him. She's got like a knife in her shoe.
Oh, it's an amalgam of a lot of
Yeah.
James Bond villains. I mean, If Looks Could Kill is one of the early pre Austin Powers James Bond parodies, of course.
Pre-Spy Hard.
Pre-Spy Hard. Post Top Secret, but that's less of a James Bondy one and more of its own.
That's
spy
kind of
movie.
a Cold War, right? It's like Top Secret is like Cold War spy thriller / Elvis movie,
right? Yeah. So If Looks Could Kill really set the groundwork for movies like Austin Powers, especially when it comes to the character Areola Canasta, named after sexual anatomy, played by Carol Davis, who I know best as Roxy from Mannequin.
Yes. Hey, Roxy, you look foxy. I always thought
another movie
Julia
we need to
Louis-Dreyfus.
cover. Not Julia Louis-Dreyfus, but they definitely had that same kind of vibe to them at that time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, and coming back to it's so funny that you mentioned that, because in the New York Times crossword a couple of days ago, that was an answer.
What was it?
Areola.
Oh, it was. Yeah, I saw that.
Areola. Yes.
I was like, it can't possibly be areola, but it certainly was. I think it said like nipple ring with a question mark. I think that it was like that kind of a thing. And it was areola,
yes,
which is a great crossword word because it's got so many vowels in it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think Rosa Klebb was the character from Russia with Love. I was thinking about.
Yeah. So this. When you think about Austin Powers and like a lot of vagina, it really all started with Areola Canasta, and that needs to be recognized more.
Yeah, I mean, of course, absolutely.
Yeah,
gotta respect If Looks Could Kill.
Respect If Looks Could Kill. Also, the pioneer of the explosive chewing gum weapon that was then used in the first Mission Impossible movie. Red light, green light.
Yeah. Oh,
but in this one, it was the gum that goes squirt. This is the gum that goes boom.
OG Mission Impossible is great. The gum that goes squirt. So yeah, it's so funny because I think about this gum and I remember Chewels. Was I don't know if this was the slogan for that gum, but
Freshen Up gum is the gum that goes squirt.
So I think like they were the same deal. They were basically like little like gum dumplings, and they had like, but the inside was just like flavored ooze. And I think about it, I'm like, it sounds awful. Like, how did our parents let us consume really most of what we consumed?
Yeah, if you look up either on YouTube, there's a few you can see the commercials, and the gum that goes squirt, Freshen Up gum. The packaging is just like, this cubic rectangle, whatever you would call that. And
cubic rectangle works.
Cubic rectangle.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of candies during this time that kind of have the same vibe. I don't know when they discontinued Bonkers, but
Bonkers was the shit.
Bonkers, yeah. I want to look that up.
Bonkers was like, we're gonna make 2 colors and we're gonna combine flavors.
It's
and
the
we're gonna
same.
blow
The
your
packaging
mind.
is the same exact look.
The characters,
The cubic rectangle.
It's a cubic rectangle.
What
anyway,
so there was that like lady. It was like a lunch lady looking lady.
Yeah, she's just like an old lady who was like, "What's this crazy candy?" And
Now
they were like, try
Bonkers-
one, and she eats it, and like her fucking eyes bug out.
Yeah, I'm looking at this ad for it. It says now Bonkers with an exclamation mark, talking about things with punctuation in it. Bonks you out with watermelon flavor, mouth-watering watermelon
the
candy
watermelon
with an extra
Bonkers.
fruity middle. Chewy fruity Bonkers comes in strawberry. Okay.
I totally want some Bonkers.
Yeah, so there was like a cartoon version of the lady, but then also in like a real life.
There was
version of
live
the lady.
action.
Yeah,
Like the Saturday morning cartoon ads definitely had like live. I remember that
yeah.
clearly.
Anyway, but we're talking about freshen up gum, or you were saying chew.
We're talking. Well, and we were talking about the sequence where he's British intelligence is showing Michael Corbin all of the gadgets, and you're walking through like just that one. It's such a trope of those films.
Oh yeah,
just like the big
warehouse
where it's like, here's where we're testing the blowtorch, and here's where there's a jetpack, and
right. And this is also, well, you're talking about Spy Hard, but also like Police Squad and the Naked Gun. Talk about the Naked Gun. You mentioned Naked Gun before. That has all of these moments in it. And Police Squad, which predates If Looks Could Kill, I think
by a decade.
Yeah, by a decade. But I think that when was the first Naked Gun? Was that like 89?
88.
88? Yeah. So that predates us too. So, but yeah, what a fun sequence that always is, seeing all of the testing ground for all of these crazy things.
You expect it. And I imagine like writing one of those films would be like, all right, what are we going to have in our thing?
Yeah. So the things that he gets these suction cup high top sneakers, which could you have imagined the originally intended Michael Corbin wearing those, the actual spy? I don't think so. They so perfectly fit Richard Grieco's character that
I think they really pivoted well to Grieco there.
Yeah. He has that. He has a tuxedo that emits a noxious gas when you lift your arms up, which comes in handy later, which just comes preloaded in the trunk of his car, the Lotus.
Yeah.
What other gadget?
And of course, of course, it's noxious fumes coming out of armpits. So that right there tells you the target demographic of this film.
Oh,
tween boys.
It was us. It was absolutely us. What other gizmos did he have? I feel like he had some other stuff. But I guess things kind of like developed over the course of the movie. But he, I don't know, just kind of like embodied this whole spy persona really well. Of course, there's a scene also where he's in his hotel room with Areola after he, the X-ray glasses, the X-ray specs, which he uses to see the next card in blackjack, which is like, that's not how this stuff would work, even if it was possible. No. He also has the combat condoms, which is a very odd choice of an item. They seem to have known, like, oh, you're going to be in a hotel room in a romantic situation and you're tighty-whities with Areola Canasta, right? So certainly you're going to need some impossible to open, which I saw an interview with Richard Grieco that they made it intentionally impossible to open, but didn't tell him that, so that it got the natural reaction of him trying to open up these condoms that are actually impossible to open while she's writhing around on the bed with a scorpion in her negligee.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's so funny. But also shows, because you know what? I don't think you saw those in definitely not the Sean Connery James Bond films.
Oh, protection.
Even if they were included. Yeah, it was a huge prophylactic.
Okay. First of all, James Bond has never used protection. I'm just going to go ahead and say it.
No.
Yeah, he shot to kill.
But I bet you I bet you James Bond had a vasectomy when he was like, "This is the life I'm going to lead."
I bet they do sterilize you when you enter British intelligence in a double O role.
Yeah, interesting.
Right?
Something that's never been covered before. So, hey, anyone out there who's trying to add something new to the genre, there's something that hasn't been addressed.
Well, actually thinking about, you know what? Did you see the last James Bond movie, No Time to Die?
I did.
He does have a kid.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's kind of it's been long enough. Spoiler alert for No Time to Die, but James Bond does have the capability to reproduce. So so there's that. And speaking of spies who reproduced, there's Blade, played by Roger Daltrey, lead singer of The who dies at the very beginning. He is the super spy that Ilsa Grunt does kill right off the bat. That's when we see first the necklace that turns into a whip, who does have a daughter, Mariska Blade.
Yes.
Played by Gabrielle Anwar, who's amazing and just totally endearing and exciting.
She had like I'm not sure exactly why, what kind of, why she's, I don't know if she stopped working. I feel like I remember there being something about her like voluntarily kind of stepping back from the business, because she had like a couple of like the early 90s. Gabrielle Anwar was like in everything.
She took a break between 2011 and 2019, but aside from that, she's remained relatively active, but maybe in less notable films. So she was, If Looks to Kill was her second movie. Manifesto was her first.
Scent of a Woman. That's what I was remembering her from. And Burn Notice. Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
So for Love or Money, The Three Musketeers, the 1993 Three Musketeers, Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead. Then she was, she's been in a lot of stuff that, maybe was not theatrically released. But yeah, she was in, let's see, Once Upon a Time. She was a main role in that. Law and Order SVU. I think that was just one episode. She had a recurring role on The Tudors for 6 episodes.
Okay.
So she's stayed active.
I might, and also interesting. So Gabrielle Anwar in 1991 appeared on screen. I don't know if we'll know if she's on Team Greco or Team Depp, because she appeared with both of them. She appeared with Greco in If Looks Could Kill, but also played Johnny Depp's girlfriend in the music video for Into the Great Wide Open by Tom Petty.
Wow.
Yes.
Amazing.
So, which also co-starred, like, Faye Dunaway was in that, I think.
Weird.
Was in that video.
She was also in the music video for the Paul McCartney song Pretty Little Head, the 1986 music video. Weird.
Yeah. Anyhow.
And she's been nominated for some awards for her work. She a Teen Choice Award for her role in Burn Notice. Interesting. She was nominated for the Teen Choice Award in 2018 for her villain role in Once Upon a Time. Yeah. Interesting. So she's had quite a career, and she's really captivating in If Looks Could Kill as the romantic interest for Richard Grieco, also the daughter of Special Agent Blade. And actually, Dan, her name in this, Mariska, she was actually named for Mariska Hargitay, and who was, I don't remember if it was Darren Star, but she was, Mariska Hargitay, and maybe it was Darren Star. Were close at the time. So,
and then did they end up on the same Law and Order together? I couldn't remember which Law and Order you just said that Gabrielle Anwar was.
Oh, SVU.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that the Mariska Hargitay one?
Yeah, I think so. So, Darren Star and Mariska Hargitay are
That's fantastic.
I
love
our
that.
buddies. So there you go. So Mariska is named for Mariska Hargitay,
Yeah.
who's daughter of Jane Mansfield. I forget who her father is, but Nepo baby.
Yeah.
And so, but she's fantastic in this. She's really great. At first, she is trying to get Michael Corbin to. She knows that he is being sent to protect Steranko, so she's trying to stop him. And when it becomes so, there's like a rivalry between the two of them, and then when she, things kind of turn around a little bit, and then when she tells him like, "Oh no, that's a really shitty dude. You're helping the wrong guy." That's when things kind of take a turn. But yeah, it's so much fun. She's so fantastic. She's great against Grieco. And I don't know, Dan, you and I love this movie. It is certainly
Obviously.
for us a cult classic. What would you do these days? How would you bring it back?
So what I was thinking about, okay, like what would I do? And I was thinking that a prequel. I'm like, what do I want to know more about here? And I feel like there's a backstory here, and maybe it's when Ilsa met Augustus, maybe. But I feel like the characters of Steranko and Ilsa and Blade.
Blade.
Blade. Yes. I don't feel like anyone's going to be like, I don't buy anyone else other than Roger Daltrey playing Blade. Like, yes,
Who
no
could
one
be
else.
A young Roger
no
Daltrey?
No one else could possibly be the lead vocalist for the Who.
Right.
Yeah. So, maybe Pete Townsend.
At times.
Yes. Yeah. But he is. I'm like, you could
John Entwistle at times.
Yeah, actually, yes. Man, John.
Well, not lead singer. Not lead singer.
Anyway, coming back to this, you could even do like a little like tribute casting, and who could play like Harry Styles as Blade. I don't know. Cast another British pop. I'm trying to think of someone who's like young enough, because like who else are you gonna like? Chris Martin? No.
I wonder well, you're talking stunt casting, so you're talking about like a singer turned actor. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, I'm like, you don't have to go that way, but just kind of like, because we get that line when Steranko kills Ilsa, spoiler alert, too late. And
who will kill for you,
Augustus? And he kind of pulls the like, I learned it by watching you thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so I want to see that. Like, I'm imagining that like he's sent to some boarding school, and she's like some type of, I don't know, like dean or something. And
which is so funny because as we're learning, she was like 30 during this. Like,
yes, but no. Like, no one thinks that. So, anyway, that's what I would love to see.
Sorry, she was 40. She was 46 when this came out.
All right. Yeah. So, and I'm like, there might be like the whole like, well, okay, you're gonna cast like, there's not too many actors working who look like Linda Hunt per se, but do they need to? Like, it's the character, and I feel like you mentioned Kristen Wiig before in Barb. Sorry, I'm like, someone like Kristen Wiig could play this character. I'm not saying Kristen Wiig, but like, there are a lot of actresses who I think could really be a great, like, younger Ilsa. I don't know, early 20s, mid 20s, kind of like a Nurse Ratchety kind of. Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know. So that's what I'm thinking, is that type of prequel, and that, because also it's like, Blade in the beginning of this acts like he's been after Steranko for a while.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think I just want to see, maybe it doesn't have to be like young Augustus, but an apprentice Augustus, and perhaps Blade on the other end of this, kind of like pursuing this, crime, becoming aware of this like crime network.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of like a Spectre, and maybe add more characters in there, and you have other spies, and so that's what I'd do. What do you want to do?
Okay, I'm gonna pull back the curtain for a second.
Yeah,
I'm gonna let everybody know we've recorded this episode before. We've done this whole thing before.
What is this, Tenet?
However, Dan, I am going to revise my thoughts about what I would do if looks could kill, because when we did this the other day,
interesting.
Yeah. I had mentioned that I would just want to see a remake,
right?
And yes, kind of, but I want to see an If Looks Could Kill animated series.
Yes,
you could still have. First of all, Linda Hunt could absolutely voice Ilsa Grunt.
Oh, absolutely. Grieco could voice. Could Grieco?
I don't think Grieco could voice a teenager, but I think that Grieco could be.
Well, he wasn't a teenager.
Okay, fair enough.
No.
I believe that. What if Grieco was the new Steranko? Like, to put a spin on it. But definitely involve Richard Grieco, because he was the heart of this movie.
Yes.
Gabrielle Lenoir is still active. She could be part of it. I think that there's a really great opportunity to, Roger Daltrey, really, really tie it together. And it's been a while since we've had a, mistaken identity, teenager turned spy kind of a thing. Even a while since we've had a like kid spy thing. Spy Kids. It has been a while. Agent Cody Banks has been a long time.
Right.
We're due for a kid spy situation.
Agent Cody Banks and Spy Kids were more like younger kids.
Kids.
This is closer to that like top secret.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm blanking on the character name that Val Kilmer does, but
Nick Rivers.
Nick Rivers.
Nick.
So yes. I love the idea of the animated series.
Yeah.
I love that, because you could also you could just have it set then.
Right.
Your pilot could be a straight up remake of the movie, and then just
absolutely
continue.
So right now on Comedy Central, there is an animated series called Digman. It's about a celebrity archaeologist voiced by Andy Samberg. He and Nick Campbell created it and wrote it, and it's a very silly show. It takes place in a world where archaeologists are the celebrities, and I highly recommend watching it. But it's
I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it.
It's a show. It's an animated series that's for college age, probably viewers.
People in their college days, spelled D-A-Z.
Oh, it. And so I think that there's a really great opportunity to kind of associate it with that kind of style. And I think it'd be a lot of fun. Dan, before we wrap up, I want to just give you a few Richard Grieco fun facts.
Oh, please.
Okay. Are you aware that he is an artist?
I mean,
not in the acting arts, but in like fine arts, visual arts.
Oh no, I did not know this.
So he started making art in maybe 1990. Was encouraged to explore this art further by Dennis Hopper.
Of course,
and he calls his form of artwork abstract emotionalism. So that's some information for you. He has a Boston Terrier named Vader, who is very prevalent on his Instagram, which begs the question: is there a place for Richard Grieco in the Star Wars universe? Absolutely, yes. There has to be.
If there is a place for Carl Weathers in the Star Wars universe, there is a. And no, I mean, I'm not. That is definitely not a dig on Carl Weathers, but I'm like the people who've popped up in the Star Wars universe. If there's a place for Jack Black,
Lizzo. Yeah.
like yes, absolutely,
Uh,
Rico.
okay, I got a couple more things for you. Plays a lot of video games, and this information may be out of date, but his gamer tag, at least at the time of the interview that I saw him do this in, Deathma6.
Oh damn it! I thought it was gonna be Michael Corbin.
Wouldn't that be great? I've got
Amazing.
one other gem for you, Dan, and I haven't seen this in any, IMDb trivia, Wikipedia trivia. I saw this in an interview that he did with a Yahoo at the 30th anniversary of If Looks Could Kill. Do you know what movie Richard Grieco turned down the starring role in?
Oh, do I know what movie Richard Grieco turned down?
I am going to give you a few hints.
Okay.
This movie came out just a few years after If Looks Could Kill.
Okay.
It is what I would consider, and I may have said this to you upon watching it recently, what I think is maybe the best action movie.
Okay, hold on. So it came out a few years like after, within a few years after
Yes.
If Looks Could
Mhm.
Kill. You think it's the best action movie?
And this is according to Richard Grieco.
Is it a movie that we have covered?
Yes,
Is it Speed?
it is.
It sounds familiar. Like I knew that once, like at some point, but okay. Yeah. I get that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I would prefer it any other way than it turned out, but I see that.
I would be really curious to watch the alternate universe version of Speed starring Richard Grieco.
What if Richard Grieco had been the lead in Speed 2? I wonder if it would have been more successful.
It's a good question. We'll never
How
know.
do you, it's like, man, how do you blow it when you've got Willem Dafoe as your villain and UB40 as the band on the cruise?
Oh, that's what we all want to know. But Dan,
Anyway.
what our listeners want to know is what we're covering on our next episode. We teased it before, but we didn't really get into it. Tell everybody what we're doing next.
Oh my God, we are doing the podcast of the Planet of the Apes, which is actually probably already a thing now that I'm hearing it. But
did you say that because then you would have two of those? Podcast of the Planet of the Apes, the same way they have.
Yes.
Okay.
Conquest of the Planet of the Apes.
Doubling
yes.
up on the of those.
Yes, we are having episode of the Planet of the Apes. I mean, we're just going to talk about them all, right? We're everything from
Dan, carve out like an entire day. This is going to be a long record.
Perhaps I will. Oh, we're gonna have fun with that. I'm so excited. Everything, all the Planet of the Apes movies. I cannot promise that I will read the original novel or watch the animated series, but
there's a lot of ground to cover. And
so much.
Yeah, and
it's a planet.
It is.
A planet.
Please, if you have any thoughts about how you would want to bring back If Looks Could Kill, any of the other 191 movies that we've covered on this podcast, which includes music videos for Aerosmith and Meatloaf.
Yeah, you want to see a sequel to the video for like Total Eclipse of the Heart? Absolutely.
Or Planet of the Apes. Email us ruinchildhoodspod@gmail.com. All of our stuff is on our link tree. There's a link to that in the bio. Dan, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No.
Oh, you pointed to me.
No, I mean, check out the T-Pub, check out the t-shirts, our merch shop, get yourself a I Love Jesse Plemons thing. If you're watching that, you watch that trailer, Flowers of the Killer Moon, and you're like, I need some Jesse Plemons merch to go see this movie.
This is his decade.
Always delivers.
Always delivers. And thank you to those who have been purchasing some of our merch from our TeePublic store.
Yeah.
Especially our Jesse Plemons merch, which has been flying off the shelves, proverbially. And Dan, as you are venturing through the French countryside with a cast of characters driving the bus, I wish you a good journey.
Good journey.